It's January, so what can we expect here in Arkansas? Well, on average, January is the snowiest month for western Arkansas. For eastern Arkansas, it actually tends to be early February, the snowiest period of the winter. But west of Little Rock, it's January, and that typically means in northwest Arkansas and the River Valley, about 2 to 3 inches of snow, and then even lesser amounts as you go towards the east and also towards the south. Highs generally across Arkansas in the upper 40s to low 50s, but that's on average. So most of the time we actually are in the 50s, and then we get these cold fronts to knock down the temperatures every once in a while throughout the month. So you take the average and kind of skews it down a little bit, mainly towards 40s. But it looks like for January, of course, we get those 40s and 50s. But what can we expect? That's all talking about climate averages and what we generally get. But let's talk about what we are looking forward to for this month. What's happening so far in terms of weather across the globe? Because global patterns influence the weather here in Arkansas and Oklahoma. One thing we look at is Arctic sea ice. See the white? We're looking at the North Pole, so we're looking directly on top of the globe. And then you have North America towards here, and then also Asia, and then Europe. But the white and blue color show you the current ice pack. The yellow color shows you the average ice coverage that we get for just over the past 30 years. So of course we're less than that. We've noticed warmer than normal sea temperatures and Arctic temperatures the past several years, past couple decades. However, what's interesting though is that this year there's a little bit more polar ice than we've had the past couple of years. What does that mean for us? Well, the more ice there is, there's more area for the cold air to just kind of sit and get even colder. There's more ice underneath it. And so the big question though, so where does that cold air tend to go? A lot of times it bottles up right over the ice in parts of northern Canada, northern Alaska, and northern parts of Siberia, but then eventually it has to dump towards the south. Sometimes it dumps towards the south into Asia, sometimes it dumps into Greenland, sometimes Canada, and sometimes the Rockies in western Canada, and eventually to the western United States. We generally need a really cold blast to kind of go towards western Canada and central Canada. Once it goes east, you bypass us and we don't get the cold air. So we'll have to see how the Arctic sea ice kind of influences us, but there could be more cold air to work with, colder than normal the past couple of years. Here's your temperature outlook for the month of January coming in from the Climate Prediction Center. The colors showing you compared to average where we're going to go. The northern United States, of course, they're already cold, but they're going to be cooler than normal, and that may bottle up more cold air towards the north. We're working with more cold air towards the Arctic, and that may supercharge some of these cold fronts that dive towards the south. Of course, we got the big cold front that came in just in time for New Year's Day. Towards the south, Gulf of Mexico, back towards the desert southwest, warmer than normal conditions are expected. Of course, it's already warmer, but warmer than normal than even for them. But here in Arkansas and Oklahoma, not really much of a clear signal on temperature. So generally what you can expect for this month will be temperatures in the 50s, and then every once in a while that cold front's going to knock us back to some teens and 20s for a couple of days, and then eventually you'll start to warm back up towards the 50s. So it's in those spells when we drop, if we can get the moisture to come into play in terms of snow. The precipitation outlook for the month of January also coming in from the Climate Prediction Center. When we're talking about precipitation, we're adding both rainfall and snowfall. Basically take snow, you melt it, you get water. So we're just talking about how much water is coming at us for this month, all the way through January 31st. Looks like for the Great Lakes and much of the Tennessee River Valley, wetter than normal conditions. Sometimes that's rain, sometimes that's snow. And then back towards the Pacific Northwest, the jet stream will continue to be active from about San Francisco north to Seattle and Portland. More wet weather coming in for the Pacific Northwest and northern Rockies, a lot of times for the mountains. Of course, that's going to be snow. But a lot of dry conditions across the south, and that's really a La Nina effect. Much of Texas, western Oklahoma, southwestern Kansas, and into the desert southwest, we tend to get drier than normal conditions, and that's probably going to stick around for January. Of course, we've got the La Nina effect in, and so that's just going to be the big weather maker, I think, here. Now, what's interesting is when you're looking at some of the higher precipitation chances towards the Great Lakes and the Tennessee River Valley, what that's kind of indicating is you get these systems that come in from the Pacific, hit the northern Rockies, come out into the plains, and then as it hits some even more cold air, sometimes they could try to dip towards the south with those cold fronts. And so we may be clipped here in Arkansas and parts of eastern Oklahoma in terms of some of that snow. But the first week of January here in northwest Arkansas, temperatures in the 40s, maybe a chance for a flurry by Thursday as we dip with one of those cold fronts, little clipper system moving on through. In the River Valley, that clipper system may give us a chance for some flurries, but maybe also a couple raindrops too. Temperatures will be in those upper 20s and low 30s. We'll have to see specifically how Thursday morning shakes out. That'll get out of here, not a big system for us, and then more rain chances as we get towards this weekend.